Welcome back to Tabletop Titans, where it's time for a brand new Codex review. I have before me the brand new Special Edition Imperial Guard, aka Astra Militarum Codex, as sent to us by Games Workshop, so a big thank you to them for making this video possible. And I am super excited. I've been playing Guard for a bit over a year now, really, with my own Guard army, and have been absolutely loving it. Super fun, deep faction with a ton of amazing models. They've been going through a lot of changes over the last year, been absolutely performing really well in events, and of course have had some new units and some new rules. The way this is going to work is I'm going to go through the entire book. I will talk about all of the core rules. We won't really talk about Combat Patrol. We will glance through the Crusade section because I think it's a really cool concept. I just don't know a ton about it, so I want to make sure you can at least see the pages that are in here, and so you can make your own interpolations from that, and of course let me know in the comments below. It's gonna be a great time. So with that, let's just dive on in and take a look at the brand new Astra Militarum. All right, so here we have it. Of course, keep in mind, folks, this is the Special Edition Codex, which is not going to contain anything different. It's just going to be available before the main Codex. So if you are playing in tournaments, for example, this new book is not going to be legal until the normal release of the book comes out separately in some time a bit later. So that's going to be a thing. Of course, if you do want to see more of this content, including knowing when that book does drop, hit that like, subscribe, and ding the bell down below so you can be notified of all the changes on the channel. Let's dive on in and take a look at the Astra Militarum. So we can see here, we've got a ton of different profiles and different units available to us. We've got this awesome art, classic battles between Tyranids and Guard, which we're actually doing today in the launch of this video, where we're debuting it. It's gonna be a ton of fun. Of course, lots of classic Guard art. We've got the baby cherubs. We've got some talk of Leontis, Ursula Creed, of course, who is related to Usar Creed. I don't know if she is his daughter or like granddaughter. The Scions, of course, we'll talk a lot about them today. The Death Corps, who end up being, again, sort of the poster children of the book. We first saw their amazing new kill team boxes and models, and now we have a ton of new models, which are looking absolutely gorgeous. So we're going through here. If you, of course, are interested in getting your own Krieg models and maybe having them painted by our fantastic painters at the studio, you can check out Titan Studio, and we would love to create your next dream army. Guard is such a beautiful army, and it really deserves a lot of attention, which it can't always get. So, highly recommend that. We've got the regiments. Of course, the regiments don't really mean anything right now. There's, of course, going to be detachments that are themed sometimes around the regiments. But largely, if you have someone from a particular regiment, they're going to have a unit, like the Catechins, like the Krieg, like the Acadians, things like that. So, again, just listing all of the tanks here, the many myriad of tanks. Ooh, Hellhound, very cool. Plastic Hellhound. We've got Leontis. Some beautiful pictures of the new models, the Commissar, the Guardsmen, the Combat Engineers, which are looking very spicy indeed. So that's all cool to see. And just more beautiful model shots. We now have 2 units of cavalry. We've got the Rough Riders here and the Death Corps here. And the Combat Patrol, I'll just say what's in the Combat Patrol. You are going to get, this is Major Drayden. You're going to get... what is this? The Lance Rough Rider. Okay, right. This is the best way to say it. You're going to get Drayden's Command Squad, which is a command squad with 5 models. You're going to get 5 of the Adelan Rough Riders, another unit of 5 of the Adelan Rough Riders, and then a unit of 10 Khazarkin. It's honestly a very, very cool box set with very cool models. So if you're looking at getting into Guard, it's just a nice collection there. So we've got the rules here. Again, not gonna talk too much about it, but if you are interested, this is the Combat Patrol available to you Guard players. Fantastic. Ah, so cool. I love Khazarkin. What a cool, fun unit. And now we get into the meat and potatoes, or the tofu, of the army. So first off, we have the army rule. This is voice of command, which functions the same as before. This is basically issuing orders. And the way it works is that you have to be Guard primary, naturally. And at the start of the command phase, each of your officers can issue a number of orders that says on their data sheet. You can also issue commands in the phase in which they were set up on the battlefield. So if you get out of a transport, if you come in from reserve, which is great, that allows you to issue a number of commands or orders based off of your profile. And so you have a number of amazing abilities ranging from move for +3 inch to their move characteristic, fixed bayonets for +1 weapon skill, equipped by the bears, +1 ballistic skill with take aim. Remember, that is ballistic skill, which means if you also can get a +1 to hit, that will stack. We've got first rank fire, second rank fire, gives +1 attacks to your rapid fire guns. Fantastic. We've got a lot of great rapid fire. We've got take cover, which is +1 save, but it can't take your save better than a 3+. Fantastic. And again, remember, this is modifying save characteristic, not a +1 to their save. So again, you can continue to stack that. And then finally, duty and honor, +1 leadership, +1 OC. Very powerful situationally, and we'll talk a little bit about how you might use this in the new book. So that's the orders. Very, very strong. I love it. So let's get into it, starting off with the first detachment. This is the combined arms detachment. This is effectively your index detachment, right? So, and they have, one of the nice things is the guard book has seen a lot of changes, and so you basically have a new print, which is mostly up to date with all the new rules. So we have born soldiers, same as always. Each time a regiment unit shoots against a unit that is not a monster or a vehicle, you're going to get lethal hits. You don't have to stand still for it. And then, of course, if you are a squadron unit, you're going to get lethal against monsters and vehicle units only. So basically, your infantry-ish want to attack infantry-ish things, and your vehicle-ish things want to fight vehicle-ish things. So very strong ability. Really upgrades a lot of what this army wants to do, which is in some case mass fire, in some case Overwatch with high value, and in both cases it's gonna be great. We've got the 4 enhancements as always, starting off with the Death Mask of Allianius. This is for officer model only. While they are battle shocked, you subtract 1 from the OC of their characteristic instead of changing it to a 0. So same as before. It's good. It's good, honestly. If you fail the points, I think definitely worth taking. Drill Commander means that if the bear's unit remains stationary, they're going to have critical hits on 5s. It is hilarious if you can make it work. I've done some heinous things with it, but by and large, it's very difficult to set up because moving is how you win this game. It's how you play this game, so a little bit difficult to do that. Next up, I've got Grand Strategist Classic. This is an officer model and allows them to issue 1 additional order. I'm a big fan of this. I like putting it on my command squad with Leontis attached, and then so you're getting 3 orders from Leontis, 2 through the command squad, and they're all going through the Vox, so you have that 24-inch range, which is fantastic. Reactive Command, officer model only. Each time any unit is set up within 9 inches of the bear, they can issue 1 order, and it's not counted towards the max number of orders they can issue in a battle round. Very, very situational. I don't really see you taking this. I think these other 3 much more interesting, even the one where you have to stand still. But truth be told, most of the time you're going to take these 2. Grand Strategist first, then the Death Mask of Allianius if you have points for it. So all in all, still, great detachment rule, some good enhancements. Let's take a look at the strats and see if they've changed at all. And again, largely with these detachments, especially, I'm going to go through each and every thing, whether or not it's new, and we'll talk about it. That way this is useful for new and inquisitive guard players, as well as you veterans out there. So with that, we have coordinated action. This is at the start of any phase. You, for 1 CP, can select a regiment unit and 1 squadron unit within 6 of each other. And basically, your orders are going to work both ways. So if you give first rank fire to one and you give take fire to the other, you can now give both of them both of those orders, which is cool. It's fun. It's a little bit weird, but it can give you double value, of course. Next up, we have reinforcements. This is a 2 CP stratagem. In any phase, you pick an infantry regiment unit that was just destroyed. You can target that unit even though it was just destroyed, and you add a duplicate of them to your army in reserve. Very powerful. The one change to note here, which is a bit of a bummer, is this is infantry only, which means you cannot do it on cavalry, which in my opinion is kind of a big bummer, because it was awesome, honestly pretty cool. The truth is, right now in the game, there is, in the balanced data slate, a rule that limits this to once per game. So while it's not in the core rules, it is part of the way that most people play the game. So it's a bit of a bummer that even on top of that restriction, you also can't do this on cavalry. Next up, we have flexible command for 2 CP. Oh my gosh. Very, very expensive. In your command phase, you can select any number of Astra Militarum officers from your army, and they can issue orders to regiment units and squadron. So very flexible. By and large, if you are infantry, you can issue orders to regiments, and if you're cavalry as well, if you are a tank, you can only issue orders to squadron. This completely blurs the line, makes it you can do anything to anyone. Unfortunately, 2 CP is very expensive. I don't see myself doing this unless I absolutely have to. Next up, classic stratagem, Fields of Fire at 1 CP. This is in your shooting phase. You pick a regiment unit and a squadron unit that have not been selected to shoot this phase, and then you select an enemy unit until the end of the phase. Each time your regiment and squadron makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, improve the AP of that attack characteristics by 1. This is still a good strat, however, it is much weaker than it was before, where it was about tagging the unit with tagging your target with 1 unit, giving the rest of your army extra AP. So much weaker than it was before. I think you'll still use it because it is +1 BS, +1 AP on 2 units, but very much reined in, which is probably the best. Next up, Inspired Command at 1 CP. This is in your opponent's command phase and allows an officer unit to issue an order as if it was your command phase. Still a fantastic stratagem. For me, this is most commonly used to be able to flip objectives in your opponent's command phase right before they score their primary, giving your unit +1 leadership and, more importantly, +1 OC. So glad to see that made the cut. Finally, we have Stalwart Protector at 1 CP. This is in your opponent's shooting phase after an enemy unit has selected the targets, and you pick a guard vehicle. Until the end of the phase, each time a ranged attack is allocated to an infantry model from your army. If that model is not fully visible to every model attacking model, blah, blah, blah. Basically, your tanks give cover, which is cool. It's fun. You have a bunch of guardsmen that are going to be out in the open, and it is going to be for each model to model. Yeah, so you can really obscure yourself. I shouldn't use that word. You can hide, you can get cover from being at least partially behind a tank. So it's cool. All in all, I think they did obviously some toning down on the stratagems here, but I think it's still going to be quite strong. At the end of the day, it's a very strong detachment rule, a couple strong enhancements, and a pretty good suite of stratagems here. So I think still going to be a popular pick, although we have some new great detachments to contend with. Next up, this one is the Siege Regiment, which we've seen a bit of a preview from on Warhammer Community, and it's caused a bit of a stir because we're basically looking at an artillery-style regiment without artillery. They are able to basically apply a debuff or a buff each and every single turn, and you have a few options. Let's talk about it. This is artillery support, starting off with Creeping Barrage. This is basically a classic Thunderfire ability. You roll a d6 for each enemy unit that is more than 12 inches from enemy, from every model in your army, so that's on the battlefield. So this is generally speaking, it's going to be at the first turn, 2 turns of the game, but if they're just hanging back away from you, you're going to be able to do this. And on a 5+, till the end of the battle round, that unit is shaken. Yeah. They're going to be at -2 to their move, -2 to their advance, and -2 to their charge rolls. Very, very scary, especially for a lot of armies out there. You're starting back, you're going to be much slower. That is absolutely terrifying. Beautiful, beautiful. Next up, we've got Incendiary Bombardment. You select a number of enemy units more than 12 inches from every enemy model from the battlefield, same as before, and you just scatter them. You just take away their cover, and that's it. And then the maximum number you took slow with this is based off of this chart, which by the way applies to all 3 of these: Creeping Barrage, Incendiary Bombardment, and Smoke Shells. So in a 2K game, it's going to be 3 units. So you can slow them, you can strip their cover, which is amazing. We see Hellhounds mostly, or partially for this reason. Also, they're just amazing. And finally, Smoke Shells. This is going to allow you to give your units stealth, right? Yeah. Give up to 3 of your units stealth. Now imagine this on some very already beefy Rogaldorns. It's pretty excellent. So this is strong, but it's on a 5+. These are automatic, so I think you're going to really be building your army around this. Being able to strip cover for extra AP, and being able to give stealth to your big tough units, or big tough tanks in particular. So very strong core ability. Let's take a look at the enhancements. Of course, there's 4 of them. Starting off with Eager Advance. This is on an infantry officer model only. While they're leading a regiment unit, they have the Scout 6 ability. Love it. This is one of the reasons that we take things like Kazarkin and Catechins. Thank you, Catechins, to get up in the midfield. We have flash grenades on officer. Your opponent is not able to fire Overwatch against the unit. Also very strong for your very killy but very fragile infantry. We've got legacy sidearm. It gives +2 attacks characteristics of the bear's pistol. This one's always fun because you can immediately like dive into your army and see what cool and fun and wacky pistols you can apply this to. So that's always like a good time. And then finally, stalwarts honors. This is an officer model only while the bear is leading a unit. When that unit is issued an order, you can also be affected by the take cover order. So it's not bad. It really depends if you have some spare points, honestly. And you're competing with these other ones. I think this is amazing. This is amazing. I'd probably take this one over this one, to be honest. So these would be my first 3 picks. Unless we can find something saucy, let me know in the comments below. So we have some cool enhancements. We have some amazing detachment rules. Let's take a look at the stratagems. Of course, there are 6 of them here, starting off with trench fighters at 1 CP. This is triggered in the fight phase after an enemy unit has selected its targets, and you select a guard unit, under guard infantry unit that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks, and they get, this is fight on death. Yes, fight on death, getting a +2 to the roll if you're a regiment, so on 2 pluses. The thing is, this is great on Bullgrin. So it's going to be fight on death on a 4+, which is fantastic. This doesn't work on any of the cavalry, which would be the other interesting infantry option. The fact that it's a 2+ on a regiment doesn't really matter because you're not really fighting with your regiment units. But I like this a lot for Bullgrin. Fantastic. Over the top is a 2 CP stratagem in the start of your command phase, and you select an infantry officer from your army. And the way this works is until the end of the phase, they can issue move orders, and they can issue to any number of eligible infantry regiment units, regardless of range to your model. So it is expensive, it's 2 CP. However, you can basically give all of your infantry regiment units +2 move for the turn as they go over the top, over the trenches, across no man's land, and go to die for the Emperor. So very expensive, but 1, very, very cool. So I think that's already 1. And 2, maybe interesting. You have your artillery support that's like bombarding people, making them weaker, slowing them down. You have your massed infantry running across the field. It's going to be cool. And then we have Flare Burst at 1 CP in your shooting phase. You select, the target is a Astra Militarum character that has not been selected to shot yet. And until the end of phase, each of your units makes an attack that targets a visible enemy unit within 12. You can reroll the hit roll. Oh, very, very strong. So full hit rerolls if you're shooting within 12. A fantastic ability. I love this on things like Kazarkin that aren't getting rerolls natively. Big, big fan. Callous Sacrifice at 1 CP in your shooting phase when a platoon, one of your platoon units is in engagement range of an enemy unit in your shooting phase, and they are not considered to be in engagement range. However, until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model loses a wound while they're still in engagement range with your friends on a 4+, you're going to destroy one of them. So not immortal, they're just killed. This is harsh. We've seen this templating before, I think in Grotmus, where it's no longer like, oh, if you roll a 1, then it'll hit your enemy, yourself, and it's not that big of a deal. It is on a 4+ each time you actually kill someone, so, or loses a wound. So you are going to do a lot of damage to them. But I definitely see situations where this is going to be well worth it, especially if you're running lots of infantry that are kind of flooding the board. So remember that it is only on 1 unit, 1 platoon unit. So if you multi-tag, that's not going to help. So keep that in mind. Furious Fusillade, 1 CP. In your shooting phase, you select a platoon unit that is not being selected to shoot. They get +1 attack with their ranged weapons while targeting an enemy unit within half range. This is great. Again, +1 attack just across the board. I'm looking here for like rapid fire or like a certain profile. But no, just can go anything. This can affect melta-guns, it can affect plasma guns, snipers, what have you. So pretty fantastic ability there. And then finally, Minefield at 1 CP at the start of your opponent's charge phase. This means that basically when your opponents finish a charge against you, you can tank shock them. It's awesome. You roll a dice for each model in the enemy unit, and for every 5+, they take a mortal wound. This is very cool, very fun. This might be the best like counter-charge minefield stratagem that we've seen thus far, because it feels like it's just going to give you good value if you use it in the correct situation. And the fact is, it goes till the end of the phase. So if they're multi-charging, they're going to be affected by multiple of those things. Again, it really suits itself to these big infantry blobs coming up the middle, getting charged, dealing mortals, you're shooting into them. It's awesome. This is a very cool, very fun detachment that's pretty well-rounded, I'd say, and there's a lot of great builds around it. So, a big fan of the Siege Regiment. Next up, we have Mechanized Assault, which is a very fun detachment, all about getting out of vehicles and transports. So we have Armored Fist. Each time a Astra Militarum model from your army makes an ranged attack in a turn in which it disembarked from a transport, add 1 to the wound roll. Oh, that is delicious. We've seen a lot of love for Scions and things like that. This is going to help not only them, of course, but also your regular infantry. It's going to help your Kazarkin. It's going to help all those cool kind of shooting units that are able to hop into transport. So already a very strong looking ability attached to a strong mechanic, which is transports. We have 4 enhancements, of course, as always, starting off with Bold Leadership. This is on an infantry officer only, and if you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase, and the bearer's unit or transport they're in is within range of the objective marker, it remains under your control, even if blah, 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 blah. So you make an objective sticky, which is awesome. I love that. That's great. Sacred Unguents. This is only on an engine seer. Start of your shooting phase, you can select a transport other than aircraft and Titanic within 3 of the bearer until the end of the phase. That transport, each time that transport attacks, you can re-roll the hit roll. Oh, it's an amazing buff. It's an amazing buff. And if it was on anything other than transport, it would be busted. As it is, you're talking about, it can't be Titanic either. So what is this? Chimeras? Can't be aircraft. Yeah, it's very, very limited. Oh, Torox Primes, which is cool. Torox Prime. So, very limited capacity. However, if it's priced right, absolutely we'll take it. I think why not, I'll tell you why not. You have to be on transport. You can't be inside of the transports. You have to be next to it, which means you got to keep up with it. So it's a little awkward, but it's a cool ability. Smoke Grenades is on infantry model only, and the bear's unit has the benefit of cover and stealth while they're wholly within 3 of 1 or more friendly transports. Now remember, this is wholly within 3, so it's a little tough to stay within that range, but I'm a big fan of this one, honestly. It makes that unit much, much tougher to kill, and you're sticking by the transport, which will matter more as we look into the stratagems. Finally, Vanguard Honors on an infantry model only. The bear's unit can disembark from a transport after it's advanced. It counts as having made a normal move, can't charge, but you can act normally. So normally, unless your vehicle has a special rule for this, you cannot have the vehicle advance and they have the unit disembark and still shoot. This gives you that extra range, that extra flexibility. So pretty fantastic. Looking at all of these, frankly, I think these are the 3 that you're likely going to be taking, and you're going to leave out this weird reroll hit rolls for a transport, but it is a lot of fun. So again, fantastic detachment rule, good enhancements. Let's see what we have here. We've got Vox Relay for 1 CP, and it's triggered in your command phase. You select 1 infantry officer that's embarked within the transport, and you can do so even though you normally couldn't. Till the end of the phase, it can issue orders even though it's not on the battlefield, and can issue orders to Astra Militarum transport units from your army, regardless of the distance to and from your unit's transport. That's awesome. So you can be like in your transport, issue orders by just giving them a call, and amazing. So it's infinite range for those orders while you're in a transport. That's cool. That's fun. It can give you a bit of extra reach. I do still like the command squad with the Vox, even for this list, but it's going to give you some extra orders that have farther range and farther reach than 24 inches, because this is any officer. So next up we have Rapid Dispersal. This is an infantry unit that disembarked from a transport this phase. They can immediately make a normal move of up to D6. Very situational. If you really need the extra movement, obviously you're going to use it. The tough thing is it's a D6, and so it's like, well, is your whole turn's game plan based around getting 3 more inches, 2 more inches, 6 more inches on your move? Like, that's all very dubious. The only thing you can count on is a 1, obviously, and if you're off by 1 inch, it seems very, very niche. So certainly there's interesting and cool things you can do. You can make big swings against your opponent, but I'm not crazy about it. Yeah, because it has to be this phase as well. Clear and secure 1 CP in your shooting phase. You select an Astra Militarum unit that disembarked from a transport. It has not shot yet. Until the end of the phase, each time they make an attack that targets unit within half range, you can reroll the hit, and you can reroll the wound. And don't forget, you're getting +1 to wound from Armored Fist. This stratagem is amazing. You're going to try to use this every single turn if you can, because the output is nuts. Swift Interception at 1 CP is a stratagem triggered in your opponent's movement phase after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback, and you select a transport unit that's not within engagement range of 1 or more units and is within 9 of the enemy unit that just ended the move. Basically, this allows your transport to make a 6-inch reactive move. This is kind of like what we've seen in the Sky Splinter Assault Force for Drukhari, and it's a good strat there, it's a good strat here. Movement shenanigans, always a welcome sight. Moving along, we've got Hasty Extraction. This is at 1 CP in your opponent's charge phase after an enemy unit has selected its targets for the charge, but before they make the move. And you allow one of your infantry units to be selected as you pick one of your infantry units that's getting charged, and you can get inside of a transport as long as everyone is within, not wholly within, 3 inches of a guard transport. So if someone tries to, you pop out, you get your bonuses, you use your hit and wound rerolls, you get +1 to wound, and then someone tries to charge you, you just hop back in. Amazing. Now we're really starting to see this attachment tick. You can see the loops, the gameplay loops that you're going to be having and things that you can do. So very cool, very fun, very strong here. Finally, we have Move Out at 1 CP. At the end of your opponent's turn, you can select a guard unit from your army, and this is going to allow them to pop in a transport as long as they are not within engagement range and within 3 of an enemy transport. That is awesome. I will take note that Hasty Extraction you also cannot be in combat, so just take note of that, forgot to mention. So I think this is a very strong detachment, funny enough. I think it's got, everything is great about it. The detachment rule is great. We've got a few great enhancements. All these stratagems virtually are amazing, and I think it's going to do really well. Mechanized Assault, watch out for it. Moving right along, we've got the Hammer of the Emperor, which is the one we're actually starting out with on stream. This is all about tanks. So starting off, we have Iron Tread as your detachment rule, and this means that each time a squadron unit from your army advances, you don't have to roll for it. They just get a flat 6 to their move characteristic when they advance, and obviously they cannot end within engagement range of any models, but they can move through and within engagement range. So you can move within that 1 inch. It's going to help them be a little bit harder to move block, but the big thing is the auto 6 on all of your squadron units. Fantastic. Love that. We have a number of enhancements, starting off with Calm Under Fire. This means that once per turn, this vehicle officer unit can issue an order to a squadron unit immediately after they issued a order to a different squadron. Love it, fantastic. Extra order is always good, especially because in this detachment, this is just great, actually, no conditions. Next up, Indomitable Steed gives a 6 up Feel No Pain to the vehicle officer unit. I love it. You get +3 OC to a vehicle officer with Regimental Banner. And finally, you have Veteran Crew, allowing this model in the bear's unit to reroll hit rolls of 1 when shooting. I really like this on the brand new Roguldor Commander, which is hilarious. And then these are just generally interesting. I think you take Calm Under Fire if you feel like you're gonna want extra orders, so that's never bad. I think this is basically adding 16% more wounds to your model. So again, getting extra value on the Roguldorns. And then the extra 3 OC sounds not exciting, but it really helps push them over certain thresholds for flipping objectives, which is great. So overall, I'd say not the strongest attachment rule, but definitely fun and has a lot of potential. We see some fantastic enhancements that really help supplement the detachment rule we have here. And then now we've got the stratagems for this detachment, just 5. Starting off with Final Hour at 1 CP. This is triggered in your command phase, and you pick a squadron unit that is below half strength and is not an officer. And until the end of the battle round, range weapons equipped by models in your unit, excluding one shot, have hazardous, but you can ignore negative modifiers or positive to ballistic skill and they hit roll. So someone is trying to pop smoke, they're -1 to hit, you're bracketed, all that stuff. You have to be below half strength, so you will be bracketed regardless. You can pay 1 CP to ignore all of that. It is, obviously it's kind of used out of desperation, but I mean, it's basically a +1, sometimes +2 to hit. So, I won't say no to that. Blazing Advance at 1 CP is triggered in your movement phase after a squadron unit from your army advances, and they are able to shoot after they advance. Very good. And don't forget they are advancing flat 6 inches, which is pretty sweet. Tactical withdrawal. In your movement phase after a squadron unit from your army falls back, you can select that squadron unit, allow them to shoot and charge after doing so. 1 CP, it's great. One of the best ways to fight tanks is to tag them up. Guard especially still don't have amazing ballistic skills, so giving them that -1 to hit feels pretty important. Next up, we've got Crash Through at 1 CP. In your movement phase or your charge phase, you select an Astra Militarum vehicle from your army that has not been selected to move or charge, and each time they do one of those things, they can move through terrain, the non-models, as if they weren't there. We've been seeing this in a bunch of detachments, in particular all the Demons detachments, to make it so that the big monsters and things can get through walls, can get through terrain that's difficult to traverse normally. And while it's not exciting, it is good, it is important. It's going to really unlock new play patterns for the Guard. Next up, Furious Cannonade at 1 CP is in your shooting phase. You select a squadron unit from your army that's not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a unit within 12, you get +1 AP. Oh, I love it. It is fantastic. +1 AP on a tank within 12? Sign me up. Sign me up any day. This is just fantastic. So again, a lot of things preventing us from getting tagged up, letting us get in the right position. This is helping us with damage. This is helping us get help with our movement. And then finally, we have a bladed plating, which is moved from the index detachment over to here. 2 CP in the shooting phase, -1 damage, which again is a fantastic, ridiculous ability. 2 CP makes it a bit expensive, but again, I think you're going to get extra bonus value from your Rogaldorns because they're just so tanky and they're going to soak up a lot of extra shots because there's so many points. So I think this is a good place for it, honestly. I think Dorns are going to be fantastic in this detachment. I wish there was a couple more ways to get Assault, maybe, even with like a enhancement or something. That's my only concern, is like this isn't going to affect your army for a lot of the game. And I wish there was something a little bit better there. So, something to think about. But it is very cool, very fun. Next up, we've got a Recon element. Don't get too excited. There are catechins in the photo, in the art, but we don't appear to be getting any new catechin models, which bums me out. Krieg is cool and all, but come on, give me my buff army jungle men. That's what I want to see here. Having said that, let's take a look at what this does, starting off with the detachment rule, which is Masters of Camouflage. Your Astra Militarum Walker and Regiment models have cover, and while they have cover for any other reason, meaning like if you actually have cover, you're going to get a +1 to your save characteristic. So you're looking at stacking +2 to your base save. This is very cool. It really starts to make things much more durable against medium arms fire with some but low AP. Which is awesome to see. This is going to, of course, affect your walkers, so your sentinels, and your regiment, so your infantry by and large. With that, we have 4 enhancements. We've got Guerrilla Honors on an infantry model only. After both players have deployed their armies, if the bear is on the battlefield, you can select up to 3 Guard infantry units and redeploy them. You can put them into reserve for free fitting. The truth is, we've seen this redeploy in a lot of codexes at this point. The fact is, it's still used before you know who's going first. Don't forget. So that really, really diminishes the potential strength of this ability. So, it's all right. Next up, we've got Scare Gas Grenades. That's what that says. I really thought that was me misreading it. Scare gas grenades. Okay. So you pick a Guard infantry model. Once per battle at the start of any phase, they can use this enhancement. If they do, you select an enemy unit within 8 of the bear's unit. No monsters, no vehicles. And they must take a battle shock test. Once per battle, start a phase. Non-monsters, non-vehicles. It's pretty poopy. Not a fan. Survival gear, not 1 CP. Survival gear can be put on any infantry model, and they have the bear, not their unit, has the Scout 6 inches ability. So this is important. We mentioned catechins earlier who have Scout 6 inches. This means that you can now have a character. When you have a unit with Scout and a character that does not have Scout and they join, the whole unit now cannot use their Scout rule. Everyone needs to have it. So this is going to allow that unit, that character, to have Scout so they can go with the catechins, scout up the board. Cool. Basically makes them a catechin, which is awesome. And then finally, tripwires. This goes on any infantry. Each time any infantry or mounted unit ends a normal move within 9, you roll a dice on a 4+. They're stunned, and they get -1 to hit. That's pretty sweet, pretty fun. Within 9 is awesome. You can put this on like a support unit that's a little bit back from your line, but if someone's going to be thinking about charging or coming in, then you can use those tripwires. So this is awesome. I think here, as I mentioned, the scare gas grenades are a bit of a miss. The redeploy is a bit of a miss, but I really like survival gear and tripwires. Cool, thematic, fun. So at this point, maybe like a little bit of the middle of the road. You're losing a lot of output because you're not doing something like Born Soldiers, but they're getting significant increases in durability to your regiment squads. Let's take a look at the strats to decide really what do we think of this detachment. First off, we have crack shots. In your shooting phase, you select a platoon unit that has not shot yet, and they are going to gain precision with all of their ranged weapons. I love this. This is awesome. Can you imagine platoon? Let me confirm real quick what like elite infantry in the army have platoon in the new book. So, for example, could we do this on some of the more elite infantry, or is it going to have to be chumps? So let's see, platoon. It's probably just basic guys. Platoon. This is heavy weapons, Ogryns, Bullgryns. Aquilon, not platoon. Scions, not platoon. Yeah, okay. Kazarkin, not platoon. Commanders, not platoon. Yeah, so it's going to be your Catachin Jungle Fighters, your Deathcore Krieg, your Acadian Shock Troopers. That makes sense. So yeah, your normal squads. So much less scary. However, it is only 1 CP, thank goodness. So, you know, if you have enough volume in a regular squad, like it's still feasible, especially if they have like a little support character. Great picking that off. So still a fan. Next up, we have 1 CP, draw them out in your opponent's movement phase after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move. Within 9 of a platoon unit, they can make a normal move of 6 inches. Oh, I love this. I love movement tricks. This is going to primarily allow your Catachin, but also your Kriegers and your Acadians to do those sweet flat 6 reactive moves. Very powerful. Scramble Field, 1 CP at the start of your opponent's reinforcement step. And this basically means that you select one of your units and your enemy cannot drop units within 12 inches of them. So it makes them into like Space Marine infiltrators, which is fantastic. This way you don't have to invest in an expensive unit that already has it, such as a Navigator. You just need to spend 1 CP in the key phase to stop them from dropping close by. Especially here, you have big squads, and so you can really push out that bubble, because this could be any infantry unit. Love this. It's awesome. Courageous Diversion for 1 CP is triggered in the start of your opponent's shooting phase, and you select an infantry or mounted unit from your army. They get a 6 of Feel No Pain, and each time they make an attack, if you target the closest... No, if you get attacked, if they are the closest enemy unit, they're -1 to be hit. So again, really doubling down here on this durability aspect. We've got extra saves, we've got reactive moves, we've got now -1 to hit, 6 of Feel No Pain, really just trying to be durable on objectives in cover. Whether or not it's enough, I'm not sure, but it is cool. Next up, Tanglefoot Grenades. They're back, baby! This is 1 CP at the start of your opponent's charge phase. You select a guard unit with Grenades keyword, and then each time an enemy unit selects your unit as the target of a charge, they get -2 to their charge rolls, not cumulative. But again, durability, make it hard for your opponent to reach. You're doing a 6-inch reactive move, -2 to charge. It's fun, it's saucy. Custodes players will be real sad to see this, because they don't have it. And then finally, Scouting Outriders. 1 CP at the end of your opponent's turn. You can select a mounted or walker unit, wholly within 10 of a board edge, and they are able to be put into reserve. So uppy downy for a mounted or a walker. This detachment looks super fun. It might be a little bit grindy, right? Where it's a lot of infantry doing reactive moves and being tough to kill and just hanging on. So that's probably my only concern. But I love Catachins, and I think it's going to be fun. I think it might suffer a bit with output because, as I mentioned, you don't have things like Born Soldiers. You don't have strats for extra AP. You just have ways to stay alive, which is a way to play the game. So if that's for you, check out the Recon Element Detachment. And that is the detachments there, a whole suite of them. Pretty fun, pretty diverse, I think. Of course, we do also have the Grotmist detachment, so that's going to be focused around Scions. But as a bit of a recap here, we've got Combined Arms, which is your index-style detachment. Still good, still strong. Siege Regiment, I think one of the stronger detachments here in their ability to debuff your opponent, get extra movement and extra utility for your infantry as they cross the field of battle. Mechanized Assault, I think also very strong. Transports are great. This is going to give you extra tricks to deliver them, to make them kill better, allow them to get back into transports and re-trigger their bonuses, which is something that's very important to this style of army. Hammer of the Emperor, maybe not the strongest. Well, I think it remains to be seen. Really isn't going to incentivize tank lines, especially big tanks like Rogel Dorns, and I think you can do some fantastic things if you're focusing on that. We'll of course try that out first on the channel for a bit of a sampler platter of a list. And of course, and finally, a recon element is all about infantry, in particular Catechins, having extra durability, standing on points, denying your opponent from scoring, and movement shenanigans. So very interesting and diverse detachments. Let us know what you think in the comments below. We're going to go through the units. I might not do it in complete detail because it's so thick, it's so much, we'll be here forever. And also because inevitably, we're going to miss some key things. So let me know. It's a lot of information here, and let's dive into it. All right, data sheets. Lord Solar Leontis. One of my first units that I looked at in opening up this new book, because frankly, for much of this edition, he has been an auto take. He's just so important to your ability to originally issue orders to non-regiment units, so things like tanks, things like Bulgrins. Then they addressed this in two ways. One, they made it so that tank commanders had the squadron keyword, which we'll confirm here. And then also, then they subsequently removed the ability for Leontis to issue orders to anyone but regiment and squadron. So you cannot issue orders to Ogrins and Bulgrins. Let me just confirm that as we look at this. We have the, let's see how scattered this is. Lehman Russ tank commander. Does still have the squadron keyword. Okay, yeah, so we're good there. So all this to say, he's still great. He's still issuing 3 orders, and it can be to both types of units. He's still giving you a CP each and every turn. He's just a little bit less mandatory than he was before. Having said that, I'll probably still put him in most of my guard lists. So that's the Lord Solar Leontis. Next up, we have Ursula Creed. Fantastic unit, because while she's leading another unit, you can have 2 orders on it. And then you can target a regiment unit within 12 for free. You don't get the double use of the strat if you are playing with the balanced data slate. Just keep that in mind. So still good, still strong. Good to see her around. Cadian Castellan. This is going to give sustained hits still. This is the ability to shoot in a turn in which they fell back. Very important. I think the only difficulty is often you're taking other types of like Castellans and leaders for units. Cadian Command Squad. This is still useful in the sense that they have, let's see, yeah, they have the Master Vox, which is the 24-inch range Vox. They have the Resing, they have the +1 OC, and it's just a good choice for leading your squads, frankly. So I think that's the only command. Oh no, that's right. We have a Catechin command now too, and the Tempestus. So before we had, I believe, Command Squad and Cadian Command Squad. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now it's just Cadian, which makes more sense. We had this weird point where there's like, oh, there's infantry and there's Cadian shock troopers and they're different for some reason. Not really sure why. And now that's all just flattened. So that's that. The Krieg Command Squad, of course, new unit here. This has access to the Master Vox, which is important. They have the 6-up Feel No Pain medic. We have the +1 OC, which is great. And then Servo Scribe extra order once per battle. Cool, awesome. And of course, this allows, and then you also have the Grim Determination, which is their special rule, as allows you to issue orders even while they are battle shocked, and they can receive orders while they're battle shocked. You cannot issue orders to battle shocked units, though. That has not changed. So I think it's cool, and obviously this is the one that can lead the Death Corps Krieg or the new engineers. So if you're running Krieg army, obviously you're going to be leaning on some of these. Lord Marshal Dreyer, with his cyber pony, who has died many, many times apparently, and been put back and back together, sometimes with less parts. Let's see what he does. Actually, I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, he's got devastating wounds to his unit on the charge, which is here, leading the charge. It is cool. I did check. There isn't anything crazy you can do with this. There's no like anti-infantry, anti-something in the Death Riders, but still never a bad ability to have. And then of course he gets back up on a 2+ the first time he's killed with D3 wounds remaining. The other thing is he can issue orders to up to 3 regiment units. And I'm realizing now, let me check Leontis. The Martial Druid can only join Death Riders, so he cannot join like a command squad, right? And then Lord Solar Leontis, Warlord, Outland Rough Riders, Cadian Shock Troops, Catachan Junkfires, Death Quarter Krieg, Death Riders, Khazrakin. Yeah, so Leontis is still able to order a unit, join a unit, and then gain a... Basically, I'm saying, can you attach Leontis and a command squad to a unit to get that Master Vox, or is that not a thing anymore? Can be attached to the following units. The Cadian command squad, for example, can be attached to the following units. And then the thing to check would be, let's just jump forward real quick to the first platoon unit we get to, Cadian Shock Troops. You can have up to 2 leaders attached to it, provided no more than one of those is a command squad. Okay, yeah, so we're all still good. Just wanted to confirm. So that is probably one of the biggest difference. Dreyer is not a full Leontis alternative, as some people were maybe hoping or thinking. He does give you 3 orders, but he's going to be a bit more limited, which makes sense. He's important, but he's not like Leontis. He's not like High Lord of Terra important. So, checks out. Still a sick model. I'm excited to play on the table. Catachan Command Squad. We can see here we get the +1 OC for the banner. We get the returning D3 models version of the meta pack of the Apothecary. We have Master Vox availability, which is great. And while you have an officer, you get Assault, which is cute. It's a bit different, distinguishes them. And of course, they have Scout 6, which is important to be able to attach them to Catachan squads to give 6. I really want to put together a Catachan army. Still really want to do it. Sly Marbo returns, of course, infiltrate, lone op, stealth, can shoot back, and can make a reactive move after they've shot. So still cool. I'm a big fan of him. He's just really fun to play. And he's not bad. He's just great at scoring. We now see Tank Commander is gone. Tank Commander. Instead, we have Leman Russ Commander, and we have Rogel Dorn Commander. So I'll have the profiles here so you can peruse at your leisure. But you do have access to the Voxnet to issue an order to unit up to 12 away. Of course, this will be up to 2 squadron units. And they still have the shoot on death on a 2+, which is fantastic. Yeah, big fan. And then we have Rogel Dorn Commander here. They have the Voxnet as well, 2 orders. And then instead of the shoot on death, thank goodness, they have called shots, which allows you to reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, and 1 damage, which is a pretty spicy meatball. You've got lots of high value abilities, including Melta, so I'm a fan. I'm here for it. I think these guys are still fantastic. 2-up save, T12, 18 wounds, 5 OC. Oh, it's amazing. And you can see with that +3 OC ability, you're going to get your Leman Russ commanders up to OC 6 and your Dorn commanders up to OC 8. Big inflection points for both those units. Moving along, got the Primaris Psyker. I think this is a bit different in the sense that, no, this is the same. 4+ feeling pain against Psychic. You can give a unit a 4+ invuln, unit that they joined. Yep. Nor Dead Dog. Again, let me know if there's changes that I missed. I don't know. There's a lot of units in here, so it's hard for me to keep track of all of them. Gaunt's Ghost, still fantastic. Fight first, infiltrate, lone op, stealth. Oh, amazing. They just always have cover, and importantly, they can do uppy downy still. Amazing. I love this unit. Can't wait to get ours on the table. We've got the Tempestus Command Squad, still giving sustained hits. Still has the meta pack, the +1 OC. We've got the Command Rod to be affected by 2 orders, and they can have a Master Vox, important for your Scion-heavy lists. Unistorm Priest, I believe the same. Engine Seer, I was curious. Vehicle gives a 4+ invulnerable save. This I feel like this only worked against shooting before. But let's take a real quick look at the engines here. So I'm going to pull it up in the app here. This is Engine Seer. And, oh gosh, there's so many. Index Astra Militarum ability. Yeah, okay, no, it's all the time. Perfect. So you're still getting that. Love it. Commissar is here for your perusal and your review. Stop a unit from being battle shocked and you kill 1 unit. And then issue 1 order. can only issue the duty and honor fixed bayonet orders when you're attached. Oh, when another unit is attached, you can. When another officer is attached, you can reroll battle shock tests. Cool. Heating shock troops. Sticky objective control, always good to see. Then we have the Kriegers. So the Catechins give you the. We'll talk about the Catechins. Cadians give you sticky objective holding. The Death Corps give you +1 to hit if you're below starting, +1 to wound as well if you're below half. And you have a slightly upgraded Death Corps Medipack, which is awesome. So if you have 2 of them, you get D3 +1. And then the Catechin as your 3rd platoon option is the Scout 6 inches, and when you make a charge, you get +1 to your wound roll when you fight. I just want to complain a little bit here. Look at this. Close combat weapon. Generic close combat weapon. These guys are like super buff, expert jungle warriors. Instead, they just have, despite that, they have 1 attack, hitting on a 4, strength 3, +1 to wound when you charge, 0 AP, 1 damage. Come on, come on. I know these models are hideous, but like, let's make them awesome. These guys should be so sick in combat. So, disappointing. However, despite this narrative issue I have with it, it's still a fantastic unit. Just, cheap, get up there, Scout 6 inches. Still great. What can I say? Kazarkin, who I deeply love, appear to be the same. We've got the Meltamine, which is the same. We've got the Voxcaster for refunding CP. They can issue orders to themselves. They have Scout 6 still. Just a fantastic unit. Love it. And then the Krieg Combat Engineers. Very, very interesting. Now, I will say there was a bit of an error, I believe, in the new Warhammer community website article written just a couple of days ago, where it talked about these guys having 35 points, as being 35 points, which is absurd. As the article also points out, they have a Scout 6-inch move, they can do grenades for free, and once per battle they have a remote mine, which can do a ton of more wounds, a D6 or a D3 +3 against vehicle formations on a 3+. Crazy good, especially for 35 points. I would pay 35 points for pretty much any 5 model unit. So day 1, today, they are also releasing the updated points, which takes engineers to 70 points. Now that might push them out to being used, to not being used ever at all, so we might need a reduction in that, but it is not the 35 points. That is absurd. So I'm sorry that happened. Again, if I'm wrong, let me know. I feel like that was just a minor mix-up on my part. Tempestus Scions, very, very important thing to note here. They no longer have Deep Strike. This is going to be left to your Tempestus Aquilon units. This is going to go very far to really toning down this army, in particular the Scion builds, which have been so powerful, even before Grotmus, but in particular after Grotmus. They still have reroll wound rolls of 1, and if you're targeting an enemy within range of an objective mark, you can reroll wound rolls instead. I think this is a great change because ultimately, like, the Scion units as they existed before were sort of like the catch-all for all types of Scions. And the thing is, even when they're battle line, you can only have 6 of them. And you want to be able to have, like, you have awesome transports. You've got Torx Primes, you've got Valkyries, which are just cool, if not good. And it just was so difficult to justify putting them in those transports when you could put them in Deep Strike. Now instead, you still put them in the Torx Primes, get those full hit and wound rerolls. They are fantastic. So obviously it is a nerf, but I think it's for the best. Still a fantastic unit. And of course, that is the Scions. This is the Aquilons. Remember that the books go to print long before they ever get released. So these do have the old version of their precision drop. Instead, now you can drop in more than just beyond 6 inches away from your opponent, and you can only do that when you're in your reinforcement step. So you cannot do it for rapid ingress. This was busted, completely broken on launch. With that, still fantastic. They still have the servo sentries. They still have a lot of profiles, grid profiles. They are the only ones with Deep Strike in the Scion army. So other than that, like the command squads surely have this inbuilt. Let's take a look. Actually, they might not, because you would just attach them to regular Scions. But let's take a look. They do not have Deep Strike, and they can only lead Scions. So Aquilons by themselves, which is fine. So your officers are going on foot with your regular Scions. Your Aquilons are going to be Deep Striking in. Still such a cool army. I can't wait to finish ours. Ogryn Bodyguard. It's going to, I believe, same thing as before, but I've never used this unit, so I'm not 100% sure. Boop. And then we've got Ogryns, which are pretty interesting. They have a bad save, but they have toughness 6, 3 wounds, a ton of shots. It's 3 shots, up to 6 with the Ripper guns. And they are hitting on 4s, strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage. So each Ogryn is putting out 6 shots at range 9 at AP 1, 2 damage. Pretty fantastic. Oh, man. And if they're targeting the closest enemy unit, it is going to be an extra AP. So AP 2. Oh, it's good. They fight okay, actually. Ripper guns, strength 6, AP 1, 4 attacks. So pretty spicy unit still. Bolgryn still have the 6 up Feel No Pain inbuilt. If you have the Brute Shields, they have a 4 up invul. And if you take the Slab Shield, they have a wound characteristic of 4, and they're -1 damage. So I think as good as ever. I still like the Brute Shield over the Slab Shield. They're fantastic. Remember, they do not have the regiment keyword, so they cannot receive orders, I think, under any circumstances these days. And then we've got the Heavy Weapon Squad. The Cadian one, of course, has these options. And this is going to mean, and then when you Overwatch, they Overwatch on 5s or 4s if they're next to a platoon. Pretty spicy, pretty fun. You could, of course, have Heavy Bolters if you wanted to have, like, you know, hitting on 4s, sustain on 6s, kind of fun. And then the Catachan version is going to have Scout 6, and when they target a monster or a vehicle, a reroll hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. Which is cool. I like that they have different rolls a little bit. Funny enough, the Catachan one might be better just because counting on Overwatching on 5s or sometimes 4s is still not an amazing plan. And then the new one, the Krieg Heavy Weapon Squad. What is their special rule? When they contain a fire coordinator, each time they fire a heavy... Oh, each time they're destroyed, you roll a dice on a 3+. You can shoot on... Oh, shoot on death on 3+. That's pretty cool, actually. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's that. So remember, this is the smaller version. We talked about the heavy flamer that they have access to. We've seen that since the previews, and people are curious what it ended up being. It is basically a 2 damage heavy flamer at range 18. So pretty spicy, if you're asking me. I'm a fan. And they take up two spaces, but they can go in transports. Pretty sick. Next up, we've got the artillery team, which is the big unit that we saw in the previews. This has the remorseless barrage ability, and what this means is after they've shot, if they scored a hit with an indirect weapon, which I think is the way to go, the enemy unit must take a battle shock test. If they were hit by a rocket launcher and their infantry, they're also -1. So getting very, very specific here. I think I'm very curious what people think of these profiles. For me, it's a little bit tough to judge. This feels similar to a Basilisk, but they're going to be more fragile. T7, 10 wounds is honestly no joke, but I'm curious about that versus like the heavy mortar, which is again indirect, which will help us do the extra battle shock. AP1 goes down to basically none when they have cover, but they have heavy. So I don't know. I'm very curious what you think, chat, especially guard players. Is this an interesting unit? Are you going to try to run it? And then the Field Ordnance Battery, which is the normal one. This is the one that came out in the last guard update. And these guys are going to get sustained while you don't move, and you are issued an order. So a bit specific, but pretty sweet. I like the Meleus rocket launcher because it's just got so many shots. I mean, honestly, I think they're all interesting for different reasons. The Bombast gun is cool. It is D6 blast. It's similar. No, I don't like it as much as the heavy mortar. The heavy mortar is just better. Higher strength, more shots. I'm sure it's more points, but yeah, pretty interesting actually. But I might do the melee as the rocket launcher if I had to pick one right now, especially with sustained. Pretty sick. Good at clearing screens. Next up, we've got the Cavalry, the Adelan Rough Riders. Still fall back and charge, which is awesome. We've got the Gold Lances for 2 damage with Lance. Then we've got the new Death Riders. They have a reactive move of flat 6 when an enemy moves within 9. Amazing ability, especially because you don't really want to get charged. They're not that tough. They're a 4-up save with no Feel No Pain. And then, as noted earlier, they don't have anything that stacks with Drader's Devastating on the charge, which is a bit of a bummer, but, you know, fair enough. The Frag Lances are, I think these are mostly just worse than the Forge World versions that they had before. But I also think it's dangerous to compare things like that because it's now a new-ish unit in the guard book, in plastic, and they've got this ability. So I hope they're good. They don't look like they hit super hard. But yeah. Oh no, they do each have the Power Saber and the Frag Lance, so you can choose. Still, I kind of wish this had some AP. That's the Death Riders, sick models. We'll see if they get used. Speaking of sick models, we have the brand new Ratlings, similar or if not the same as before. Infiltrate, stealth. They can move in and shoot and scoot, which is awesome. Once per battle, they can get lethal hits from the battle mutt, which is hilarious. I love it. I love these models. I love this unit. Very cool. And then Armored Sentinels are going to give reroll wounds. Or they're going to have reroll wounds against a monster vehicle. Personally, I really like Armored Sentinels for the ability, Scout Sentinels for the ability to scout up 9 early game and screen things out and pass out reroll hit rolls of 1 for guard units. Very, very, very important. We've got the regular Taurox and the Taurox Prime. As you can see, they maintain their abilities. The Taurox Prime is going to give reroll hit rolls in their kind of support fire role. Again, much more important now that Scions don't have Deep Strike natively. So we're going to see more on this on the table, which is always cool. The Chimera, yeah, we can issue orders from inside of it. It's a Chimera. I think we're going to again see more of these with the +1 to wound. Leman Russ Battle Tank profile. Real hit rolls of 1 if they're on an objective. Full hit rerolls, again, fantastic for Overwatch. Leman Russ with the Demo Cannon. Can shoot in combat, Demo Cannon in style. Leman Russ Vanquisher with the big long barrel, rerolling wounds against monsters and vehicles. I love that. Leman Russ Executioner. This is getting +1 to hit against units below half. I wish they didn't have the below half. I don't know, I wish, even if it was just injured and you just had to tag them up. Below half is kind of awkward, especially given the amount of firepower you have from this thing. And the Punisher has devastating wounds when you target an enemy model that's not a monster vehicle. So it's cute. Still no AP. It is a lot of shots though. So that's pretty hilarious. Again, probably better in one of the something like the combined arms regiment, which gives you lethal against target. No, it's not, because then you're targeting big tough things, and unless you're getting lethal, you're not winning at all. So yeah, I'm still not crazy about it. The Executioner with the double barrel. This has Withering Hail, which means that +1 AP. For all the units that target the thing that this Exterminator cannon shot. Fantastic ability, very, very important. Stacking AP has been one of the reasons that Guard have been so strong, and this is a way they can continue to do so. There's so many Leman Russ bodies. This is the Eradicator, another short nose. This has Urban Warfare. If you have cover, it's -1 damage. Very, very fun. I love that. And then that's all the Leman Russes. Finally, we have the Rogel Dorn here. Still has the ablative plating once per battle to just zero out one attack. I will note this is when the attack is allocated rather than after a failed save. So take note of that. But still, T12, 12 wounds, sorry, 2 up save, 18 wounds. Very tough, lots of firepower. Playing 2 of them in our first game. And then the dreaded Basilisk, of course, still has the Shaker rounds that slow your infantry. -2 to move, -2 to advance, -2 to charge. And this profile is just fantastic. It's just so many shots. D6 +3 blast, 8, 2, and 2. It's hard to say no to at least one of these in your list, I feel like. Fantastic. The Hydra allows you to reroll hit rolls. I forget the points. These were taken a lot. You know, John Lennon ran them in Worlds, mostly because they're just so dang cheap. So check out those points. Let me know what you think. Manticore. This is, of course, such a classic here where you have your missiles, each of which can be shot once per game. Oh no, this is changed. Sorry, I'm like, wow, I just jumped back a whole edition. Oh my gosh. It's just a great profile. So it's D6, blast. Oh, this does feel different. Is this different? Let's look it up. Manticore. Manticore. Do. Mini core is what I'm trying to type. Manticore. Abilities. Range weapons. Yep. Yep. They really hurt this a lot, actually. So one of the reasons Manticores were so strong before is because they were good against everything. They were D6 plus 1, blast, heavy, indirect, hits on 4s, strength 10, 2, and 3. So the strength going from 10 down to 7 is very important. It means they're not going to be good at killing vehicles anymore and tough things. They gain anti-infantry, so you're good at basically elite things. Strength 7 anti-infantry means like you'll still be able to wound like cavalry and tiny vehicles like Vipers and things well, but you're not going to be good against pretty much any other type of vehicle. So they're really narrowing down. And then Furious Barrage has this changed. Yes, it has changed. Before, if you were targeting a unit with 5 or more models, you got reroll hit rolls. Now it is after you've shot. If you're a non-monster or non-vehicle and you're hit by them, they are going to be staggered. -1 from OC to a minimum of 1. It's aight. Subtracting OC is always a strong ability, but full hit rerolls was kind of better. So it's probably a pretty big hit to the Mana Core, which at one point we were just seeing 3 of those. So we shall see. The Wyvern, this is going to have the ability to suppress a unit. We've got the Mortars, 2d6, Blast, Indirect, Twin Leg, Strength 5, AP01. Similar roll to before. Wyverns. We haven't really seen a ton of them lately. And then the Death Strike. This has the little laser targeter. I'm curious to see how this works, if it's the same. You can, yes, you can adjust, you can place it. Do not select target, instead of resolve this weapon's attacks, rolling for each unit within 6 individually. And it is Blast, 1 shot, Plasma Warhead, 2d6, BS2, Strength 16, AP4, 1. This is another one I just want to pull up briefly, so let's take a quick look. A Death Strike. Same profile there. Designate targets. Yeah, I think it's the same. Let me know, chat. So it's cool, it's fun. You don't see it often or ever. Hellhounds are fantastic, remain fantastic here. This, of course, has the ability to strip cover from something that they shoot at. So unless you're running the artillery detachment, I really think you're going to take at least 1, if not 2 Hellhounds in most lists. Their Chem Cannon remains amazing. Anti-infantry 2+, Torrent, D6 plus 1 shots. Strength only 2, but anti-infantry 2, AP2 for 2. So fantastic unit. And a 2+ save. Why? Why not? And I've got all the big boys here, the Bane Blade, the Bane Hammer. I'll let you go ahead and read over those profiles yourself here. This guy gives cover, which is hilarious. This one causes battle shocks, which is fun. The Bane Sword has a big boom. Oh, enemies at big boom, which is hilarious. So explode on a 3+ instead of a 6. The Hell Hammer is going to ignore negative hit rolls for making range attacks while enemy units are in engagement range of it. Basically, it doesn't care if you tag it up. The Storm Lord. You can get inside of it. You can hop in and out. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Firing deck 12 as well. Notorious. The Storm Sword, you can see here, with Concussive Wave, after selecting a target for its Storm Surge's Siege Cannon, you roll a dice for the target unit and every other unit within 3. On a 5+, they're being struck by Concussive Wave, and they take D3 mortal wounds. Cute. The Doom Hammer. Magna Cannon targets monster vehicle, always considered to be with half range. Of course, important because it's a Melta 6 cannon. Super fun, super cool. I can't believe I played this guy. And there's one more super heavy. It is the Shadow Sword, the classic. Getting devastating wounds against monsters or vehicles, just like before. And boy, oh boy, is it a fun weapon to shoot. Let me tell you that. 12 damage. The Valkyrie can have units disembark after it moves at the end of your opponent's movement phase, which is cute. I would love to see this on the table more. The Aegis defense line, as always, looks interesting on paper, hard to implement in person. As you set up a unit behind it, they get 4+ invuln, they get -1 to be hit. In combat, basically. No. While an enemy unit is only within engagement range of 1 or more fortifications from your army, that unit can still be selected as target of a range attack, but oh yeah, you can shoot them, but you're a -1. Yeah, makes sense. Cool. that's the units, folks. Again, I'm sure that I missed one or two things, so let me know in the comments below what I missed, kindly. I do want to go through the Crusade section. Again, I don't know a ton about it, but I will still display it because I think it's super cool and more people should be playing it. So this is page 1 of Crusade. You've got the tours of duty. The number of battles your Crusade fort will need to fight is, and you will determine that. And you take note of how many you need to do. You have logistic points and commendation points. Logistic points are spent on, things to support your army. What do commendation points do? So it's basically an alternative to getting the Crusade points, which I assume we'll spend in the next pages. That's cool. Here we go. We've got assigning logistics points, the Lex Mechanicus, material, tithe pool, morale. So much fun. You get so in each category you get what happens if you have a surplus or a deficiency. So it's all about like these lines of supply, which is super cool. And then here's the rules for commendations. And it's basically a way to gain battle honors, right? If we see here, we have personal accommodations, getting it into the custom stuff. Diamantine Star, what is this? Regiment unit only when they arrive from reserves can be set up within your opponent's deployment zones, and all their other restrictions apply. That's fun. We got some fight first here. Reactive move. Second page of abilities here. This is Medallion Resolute, 5+ invul on objectives, Star of Fidelity, potentially you give a CP refund. This is the Regimental Commendations with Expert Bombardiers, Paragon of Drill Discipline, Veterans Crew, Vanguard Honors. And then on the second page we have Preservation Commendation, Cavalry Aquila, Mechanized Assault Merit, and Veteran Guerrillas. Finally, your Guard-specific agendas, always fun. Your requisitions, uplifting primers, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh, commit everything. Last minute transfer. And your battle traits with some classic and sick art. Deadeye Killers, Stealthy, Sharpshooters, Grizzled, Guerrillas, Trench Fighters. Oh, so cool. Really want to play some Crusade. Need to do this. Officer units, vehicle units, Old Grudges, classic. Some people will recognize that. And it goes on. So much Crusade content, it's great. Beautiful, fantastic, the Star of Terror, and the Crusade badges. Beautiful, as always. And of course, probably the most important page is the name generator. Highly encourage everyone to generate their guard name and let me know in the comments below what you got. And make sure we do this on stream as well. I think that's it. There are points, but points are wrong. Don't worry about the points ever. GW is releasing updated points today, so good stuff. With that, folks, that's the Guard book. Very excited for it. It's always cool to have new options. I particularly really like the Guard. I am working on some new projects. I have my new Rattling kit still to build. I still have the Aquilons to finish. I have my Feudal Guard that I want to work on so much. On top of the fact that I really want to make like a Krieg-style trench board. So let me know in the comments if you want to see that finished, and that'll help me prioritize it. As always, please like, subscribe, and of course hit that, I already said that. Please like, subscribe, and ding the bell to be notified of all our recent releases, and join us for our first live game with the new Guard book. It's going to be Bridger with the tank detachment, so go easy on him. It's going to be a great time, and I can't wait to see you there. With that, folks, I'll catch y'all next time on the tabletop. Bye!